Hello, everybody. Welcome to How to Start an Agritourism Association in your state or county. I'm Penny Leff. I'm going to be moderating today. And we do have folks joining us remotely, so we have people online as well as everybody who's in here. And if you want, you could come a little closer since we're a smaller group. Come up front a little closer if it feels good to you. So not to take the time from the speakers, today we will hear from Scottie Jones, who is the Executive Director of Farmstay USA, Ruth Pepler from Farmstay USA, Shannon Arnold from the Montana Bunkhouses, working ranches, Kelli Hepler from the Colorado Agritourism Association, and Annie Baggett, sorry, who is an agribusiness developer and an agritourism specialist with the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. So to start, I'm going to introduce Scottie Jones from the Farmstay USA.
So thank you all for being here. So we decided we would put this group together because I'm aggravated about trying to start an association in Oregon. So these are for people that have worked with their agritourism associations, and some are ground up and some are started from the top. Some have been going a long time, some are not quite started. So I thought it would be a good way to kind of show you the things that work and the things that don't, and they'll talk about those. So the first people that we're going to have speaking is actually going to be Annie Baggett. And she's the agritourism marketing specialist for North Carolina Department of Ag and Consumer Services. She's also leads the Visit North Carolina Farms app economic development marketing program. I follow her every week. She sends out a really great newsletter. And then beside her is Lee Rankin, because Annie is double booked for this session. And so Lee will be here. She owns and operates Apple Hill Farm. It's a fiber farm in Banner Elk, North Carolina. She's been welcoming guests for 20 years. She's also the president of the North Carolina Agritourism Association. So she'll answer questions, but we're going to start out with Annie, and then I'll introduce each other person as they come along. So here we go.
Oh, so the clicker is okay. And this one, well, once you guys are ready. So are we on? I'll let them. So today I brought Lee Rankin, who is president of the association, and I'm going to just go ahead and get started in the essence of time. So I am the second person in the role at the Department of Agriculture. So some of you may know of or heard Martha Glass's name mentioned. Martha Glass was my predecessor, and the department saw that agritourism was an opportunity when tobacco was going away and farmers really needed to figure out how to diversify. So Martha Glass was put to lead the agritourism charge and to just start that department from scratch. So that's what she did, and she started an association out of the Department of Agriculture. So that was from 2005 till 2013, and it was one farm at a time, getting organized. She did a lot of kind of resource building and doing outreach, put together farm tours, just really connected with the farm community to just ask them, what are your interests? Interestingly, at the time, and Lee and I kind of got started about the same time in farming, I'm also a farmer, and Martha Glass came to one of our holiday open houses at my farm and introduced herself. And I used to help like at the state fair when we do outreach and talk to other farmers, that sort of thing. So fast forward to 2014. Martha Glass retired in 2013, and the department was looking for a replacement. And I was in the farm community, and several folks kept asking, you should apply for this position. So anyway, I landed in this role. And Martha continued the Agritourism Networking Association. And the department saw as an opportunity to expand the role. So I'm an agribusiness developer. So I help farmers develop their business plans and their marketing plans, promote the industry. And I was in the position to support Martha in any way that she needed, to be a speaker, to help with conferences, farm tours, that sort of thing. So what ended up happening, and we're kind of all over the place here, huh? What's happening? My clicker is not working and it was going, okay, maybe it is now. Is it on an automatic timer? Oh, well, doesn't matter. I'll just tell you. The best practices is probably the most important thing. So what ended up, and I'd love to, let's see, can we get to the timing? It's not. Maybe it is now. Okay. Okay. It keeps doing weird things. Okay, let's see if it'll stay there. So this is the timeline. So when I arrived, for a couple of years, Martha kept going with the association and I helped her with the conferences. And then Martha came back to the department and just said, there's got to be a better way. This is like really too hard to have this association outside the Department of Ag. So as I mentioned, my role had changed. And so the department just said, okay, let's pull a meeting together. So there were like 6 of us in a meeting. And we just decided, let's just put on a really fantastic conference and farm tour and start to raise some funds because there were no funds, there was no support, and just kind of figure that out. So we did. I'm just going to leave this clicker here because it's kind of doing its own thing. So we did that. And little by little, and anything that you do first is hard. And so what Martha did was really, really hard. And we had an opportunity. So we started by putting together a conference and then asked for leadership. So we went around during the farm touring conference and I was in charge of recruiting the hopeful president of the association. And he was a farmer and a leader. And it was him who really led things to the huge decision of hiring an executive secretary. So that executive secretary helped us not be an all volunteer group and, really just kind of keep the organization afloat. So we're very, so I'm thinking, can this just like stop? So what if, can you guys just do the advancing? I think let's just do that because it's on an automatic timer and it's just doing weird things. So that'll be fine. Leave it on here. So we are a membership driven association. Every farm has 2 members and they pay $75 a year. We also raise funds through our farm tours and our conferences, and that helps to pay for Christy, who is our executive secretary. She manages the website, she manages membership, she helps lead the effort there. So I think some of the most important things to keep in mind when you're thinking about an association is just tap the strongest leaders, and it doesn't matter who they are. They could be, somewhere in your community, not necessarily embedded in agriculture, economic development, or tourism, but you just need strong leaders who can help kind of advance and make decisions, help the team make decisions, and maybe leaps of faith before you're ready to do it or before you think you are. It's sort of like having children, making that decision, sometimes it just happens, right? And you don't have that decision, but I would say an association is like giving birth in many ways. So, and also just like our farms, you want to have diverse revenue streams. So figure out all the options that you can help support the association. Member benefits is, that's something Lee and I were talking about this morning that, we really need to work on a little bit more. During the pandemic, we met every Monday at 7 in the morning as leaders to really figure out what our members needed during that time. And truly that got us through the pandemic. And we, took the opportunity to develop a whole new website as well, which is the next slide, I believe. And, we limped along with an old website, and the new website is up and going and ever changing. So anyway, you'll see that slide eventually. So I think we probably have maybe 2 minutes or 1 minute. I'd love for Lee to just kind of inject kind of her wisdom here. Truly where we are today is Lee Rankin is the president of the association. And, we are in a stable place, and we've got really strong folks like Lee that are leading the way forward.
Thank you. So we don't have it. Do we have it? We don't have it. Anyway, so as somebody who came in after Russ, who was the man who suggested we get an executive secretary, it was somewhat fairly easy. And we have a very unique thing happening in our association, which is all of us on the board really love each other. And I know that that's unusual because it's a volunteer thing. We do a conference and nobody has to say, is somebody doing something, because we're all like on it. And we are having a fabulous time working together. So we're in a sweet spot. So we have a district board that is 14 people, and then we have our executive board. And so we do executive board meetings and we also do district board meetings. So we do both. And we do our conference every year. So one of the ways we've divided what we do is we do a conference with a farm tour, and then we do a summer farm tour. Our conference is in February. We do a summer farm tour and we move around the state. And so our summer farm tour is in the same place that our conference is going to be, and our conference is then there. So we do 2 tours in that area. We can really uplift the farmers that are there by doing a farm tour, and everybody gets used to that area, and then we move to a different area. So it's a little bit harder to do because you have to find a new hotel and all those things. That's where an executive secretary comes in. So anyway, thank you. And I'll be here to answer questions because Amy's going to have to leave.
She started Agritourism Association in 2013 in Colorado, access to resources, technical assistance. She's currently the president of the association and works with the American Indian, Alaska Native Tourism Association. So, come on up and great pictures of those. It works. So great, and if it doesn't, you just send pictures. Anyway, thank you all for joining us here this morning. My name is Kelli, and I am the current president of the Colorado. I have been involved with agritourism for 25 years now, and worked with programs, tours, and trails, helped watch farmers and ranchers get together, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and just get started what we have. Our organization was basically started by the Colorado Tourism Office. Many of
we're in that process of realizing that thing called agritourism and what is it and why is it so hard in the western part of the country. And we went in on it and we were on it as the state of Colorado. So we started the association. Oh, okay. Keep going. Got it? So the Colorado Tourism Office decided that they thought they might need to do something about agritourism in the state. So what they did was they incorporated a strategic plan. They decided that we have to have enough information to send people to farms and ranches, and there isn't anything out there. The farmers were not happy that this thing called the Colorado Tourism Office is sending these people, and they get to our farm and they want to pet a goat, and we don't even have goats. So what's going on, people? So they did a strategic plan as part of that process. We created a 3-year plan for how to do agritourism in the state of Colorado. And one of the things that strategic plan said was, oh my God, people, please get an association started, and please do something about the liability on these farms and ranches that people come. So we got the association up and running. I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. We also, the association worked very hard to get Council 1280 passed. Here in the lobby, Vermont has signed very similar to ours. Real ugly, black and white, the type has to be an inch tall. It says, hey, that's like it. Basically, that's what it says. The inherent risks of visiting a farm or ranch are there, and we need to pay attention. And it's your own fault. That opened up the doors for a lot of people to say, oh, I want to do agritourism. I think that's a great way. At the time, the average person, the average agritourism reported to the Ag Census that they were making around $30,000 added to their bottom line. In Colorado, now it's up to 60, and we've got 5 more years. That data will be out. We're expecting it to be even more than that per farm. So when we first started, we realized, yes, the guy that didn't have the goats, not only did he not have goats, he had no idea how to run a tour. So the Agritourism Association started doing workshops, and we went all around the state of Colorado. Presented so many tours, so many workshops, I can't even tell you. They were usually half day, and a lunch was provided. So we had a lot of attendees, usually about 30. Our biggest workshop had 51 people in it. I do not recommend that for a workshop format. It's kind of a lot of people, a lot of questions and answers going on. We were able to, also one of the requirements of becoming a member of our association was to register with the Colorado Tourism Office on the Colorado.com. We ended up with about 400 people, just a little over by the time we were done with our program. And this allowed for us to really start honing in on who was doing it, what were they doing, and all of that sort of thing. So we did a lot of work to make sure that we were responding to the needs. The Colorado Tourism Office created this booklet called the Colorado Roots magazine. It was a guide, a full-color visitor guide that was dedicated only to agritourism. And our people in the rural communities were saying, "Help me on." Our tourism office finally realizes that we have product and we have something for people to do. So they got busy, and we had a lot of things going on there. We had a board of 7 board members. The executive director at the time was myself. And then we moved forward with that. Let me get back to my notes here. We did do a lot of research with other organizations. We looked at UC Davis's program. We learned a lot from them. We also looked at Tennessee. Their program is funded through their Department of Agriculture. And we found that they had these great signs, the top signs. They had their little red barn, and it said, oh, a goat farm over here, and oh, a winery over here. And they had this great top system, and we were very envious of that. Oregon is another state that has beautiful agritourism opportunities. I've had a lot of questions about farm trails and food trails. Oregon has some really good examples of food trails and itineraries. And you guys do too, like you did, if I remember. Yeah, okay, thank you for that. And then, of course, Vermont, if you haven't tapped into Lisa Chase's video series, you're missing out on a real gem. So and we also connected with NAFTA. They are a great organization. You learn a lot from them. They're very well worth the money. I took a look at New Zealand and also Tour Scotland. Those are organizations that do brilliant agritourism programs, lots of video and things like that. We decided we needed to kind of reboot our organization. COVID came through and wiped a bunch of us out. Our website was no longer functional. Our funding was no longer coming in. The Colorado Tourism Office team funded us for 3 years. And my predecessor, who's left, she mentioned to have diverse sources for funding, and we did not do that. We were funded by the Tourism Office, and we were kind of under their rule of thumb for 3 years. It was very difficult for us to try to reach out to other things that they did not want us to do. We decided that after COVID and we had all these workshops going on, we had to change focus more on the organization. So all of a sudden, the workshops weren't there. Oh, the Colorado Agritourism Association must be gone because they're not doing workshops anymore. That was a mistake on our part. I'm telling you our mistakes so that might help you. You definitely don't want to pull that rug out from under. You got something that's working, try to keep that going. But then now we have rebooted, we're reworking. One of the things we figured out was that the biggest reason now why people aren't going into agritourism is because of all their county rules, regulations, land use codes, permitting, We have 64 counties in the state of Colorado. We have spent the last 2 years researching all of those county regulations, county by county. We have an intern from CSU who's been working with us. So we have a database that's a kind of if-then. If I want to have weddings in my barn, what do I need to do? So they go to their county and they're able to ask the questions, and then you need a permit to improve the barn. You need event permit, you need parking, all of these different things that they're going to need a permit for. And they can find, and that's about to launch. We have about 6 steps to go. Now, and that was again a project with CSU Extension. Martha Sullins is on the board, and she's been invaluable. We want those team players; they're super important. Let's see. Membership is also super important. We're working on building that back up. And let's see, is that my final slide? Oh, you don't need to worry about that. That's my email. I have a business card here with my phone number. And also, again, I would like to quickly mention that I have recently, in the last 2 months, taken a position with American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association as their agritourism specialist. If any of you work with tribes or are involved with tribal agritourism, I'd love to talk to you. It is a new area for me in terms of how farmers, Indian Native American farmers, are different than non-traditional. So please reach out, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we'll do the next one, and I'm sorry about these slides. I'm trying to control it too. It's forward and backwards. So our next person is Ruth Pepler. She's actually a farmer and farm-stay host in Harriet, Arkansas. She became involved in the startup of the Arkansas Agritourism Association and was their president. She's their just past president, so she will introduce what she does. We're going to try to run a video from her. So.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Well, we started this is just a little video of our work and what we're doing. And we so we had started our farm kind of a long association. People were coming down for so what does it mean to have, what does that even look like? So I started researching, staying on the farm and immediately got right to Scottie. So that was 10 or 12 years ago. It's been a little while. And I think in 2012 we built our barn. But before that, I joined Farm Stay US, and then I called all over.
At the university had tried to get an agritourism association started, talk to her. So I got off to the university, and Stacy and I sat and brainstormed along with my daughter, who was 16, 17 at the time, and she would come and take notes. She was acting secretary for this whole little ordeal we went through. And Stacy and I talked about the different research that she had done, and she had done all the polling and had a whole list of all agritourism interested people. So first step she did was revisit that, and she sent that out again and see who was still interested in agritourism in the state. And we from there decided, okay, let's put together an association. What is that going to look like? I had looked at all these other associations. I had gone on all these other websites and said, okay, well, what are they doing and who's running them? And, it was kind of outside the box. I'm from New Jersey, transplanted to Arkansas. So already there was like a little bit of a rub there. And, I come in with all these crazy ideas. And we decided to go independent, which was, wow, what are we going to do? How is that? What does that look like? But do we have to be under a specific department? If we're under a specific department, are we beholden to their budgets and things like that? So we didn't want to do that. Also, the flip side of that, though, is you have to find your own money, right? So we decided to do that, but we also wanted the input, because why reinvent the wheel? So we have somebody from the ag department, somebody from tourism, and somebody from the university all on our advisory panel. We have a board of 9 people that we gathered from all over the state. We started with our search committee and we started with that to get our board together. So by the time we actually had gotten a year later, almost 2 years later, of gotten all of this information together, we had some kind of worn out people. We started right off with our board. We had a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and then our advisory panel. And then we elected regional representatives from the 5 different regions, tourism regions of Arkansas. And that helped kind of bring all the state together. But at that point now, everybody was like really burning out, because it was a big to do to get this all together. So here's the mistake that I would do differently is at that point, elect a new board from your people coming in, keep a few of your maybe keep people and get new people in because we needed fresh then. So we had our first conference and we had a good attendance. We had it held at the university, so they supplied the area to have it, which was great. We didn't have to pay for that. We brought in public sponsors. So Farm Credit came in, Farm Bureau came in, a couple of different agencies, insurance agency came in and sponsored some of that. So we were able to have our conference for like $25 a person, basically, which was going to cover our lunch that we had during the day. We had our general meeting at the end of it so that people that were here and were not part of the board or the membership, you know, you had a lot of extension people that were coming and different agencies, and they weren't going to be part of that meeting. So we did that at the end of the day. And we wound up really having a good network of people, but it was very hard. We didn't have a website. We didn't have funds for a website. So we put together one of the members put together a very basic website, and we just had our name on there pretty much, and people had a place to go to. They knew who the officers were and who they could contact. We did memberships were like $100 for core members, people that were actively doing agritourism, and then we had a $25 membership for people who were interested and just wanted to kind of jump on, get all the information, and that was like $25. And then we had supporting members, and we still have all of those different categories. So we've kind of, with COVID, we were kind of hitting that term time. You know, we had a 2-year term. We set up all of our association as a nonprofit, so we could be independent. And that's kind of, that's another thing. We set up as a nonprofit, but we have no funding really to be able to file that nonprofit status yet. So with the state, we're filed as a nonprofit, but we're not with the federal government yet because we just don't have a circulation of funds required. We just recently, I guess I wound up having to serve 3 years instead of a single year. I was supposed to serve 1 year and then hand off to my vice president to serve 2 years. And that didn't happen because COVID all kind of happened in the meantime too. And our first vice president resigned. He had family issues and had to step down. So nobody was there to step into my position. So 3 years later, I was able to hand off the baton, stay on as the past president. And now we have fresh, like we brought in now all the fresh people. So they've got a new energy and new ideas, and it's really working well. I would have liked to have been able to do that a year or two earlier, but we were in the middle of COVID. So it was just kind of keep it going and make sure we're getting a hold of our members. And we worked on some website. The website got improved and is better now. And we've actually have a little bit of a budget. Farm Credit helped us with websites since we didn't have to do the conference during COVID. They helped us get some website stuff up. So reaching out and finding all those people to support you is a little difficult, but having more bodies on the ground to do it is really good. So right now we're working on fundraising and recruitment. So that's pretty much it for Arkansas Agritourism. Our website is still being tweaked a little bit, so hopefully that'll be up and active, but you'll have access to all of the different farms. We're also working with the Department of Tourism, and that was in the middle of its thing too, on a farm tour brochure that can be in a rack card display, so they can grab it and have all of our different regions and what it specializes in. So thank you. Thank you.
So our last person who's going to be speaking is Dr. Shannon Arnold. She's actually a professor in agricultural education at Montana State University. She is part of a group of people trying to pull together a Montana Agritourism Association. So they are in the process right now of finding who needs to be in the room, sitting around a table and hashing it out. So I will let her tell you where she's at.
Okay, so thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm actually a substitute for Karen Searle, who some of you may know. She runs Montana Bunkhouses. Hopefully she's watching. She had some issues. I'm sure many of you heard about the floods within Yellowstone. And so she's still dealing with some of the issues related to that. So I'm Shannon Arnold. So I am a professor in agricultural and extension education at Montana State University. And let's see. Let's see. Oh my. Oh, okay. Look at that. Okay, that sounds good. Let's do that. I don't have to worry about that thing. So a little bit about where we are in Montana. So in 2018, I actually wrote a grant and got a grant from the Montana Department of Agriculture. It was a specialty crop block grant. And that grant was really to do some research about the state of agritourism within Montana. And so myself and an ag economics professor started doing some research with this grant to see what is currently going on as far as agritourism in Montana. So we started to collect some data, and what we did was we talked with several agritourism operators, experts, extension agents, service providers in the state, just to get a sense of what's going on as far as what are the opportunities, what is some of the challenges that people are facing within the state. And so we collected all of that data. And then what we did is, based on some of the results of that data, we looked out of state to some of these other more established agritourism associations and asked them, here's some of the challenges that our operators and our state is facing within agritourism. How did you approach that? And so then again, we put all of that data together, and we got an idea of what others are doing that could help our operators and our experts within our state. After we collected that data, we then used that to help formulate a communications plan. So I worked to develop, I think you can click. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I worked to develop a website. And so if we see it, I worked with a marketing consulting company to develop a website for Montana agritourism. You can go to the next slide. Oh, that's okay. So this was some of the results we found within our research. Stay. So this is what we found within Montana. So again, we asked them, what are some of the characteristics that you would say is representative and effective agritourism association, or sorry, agritourism operation currently? And so as you can see, one is obviously thinking about the experience and the public interaction was the most important thing. Secondly, they said you have to have a business plan. And I would say a lot of the operators said, I don't know how to make a business plan. And so some of them did work with the economic and community development specialists to help get that business plan. But those are some skills that they said that they need more assistance with. Being passionate about the operation, as many of you know, it's 24/7. And so you have to have that passion about having that operation and being devoted to it. Diversification. So within your farm, you need to think about how to diversify your income streams, diversify your production. We have a lot of big farms in Montana. And so thinking about, if you have a wheat farm, what might you be able to add to that particular farm to help diversify? Is it a store? Is it a tour? One of my students, they have a wheat farm up in northern Montana, and they do combine tours. They let people come on the combine and watch them harvest. and the family said, people would pay for this? And so they do that. And so they just have them hop in the combine and watch their wheat harvest. Marketing. second most important, actually the tied for the first most important thing is how do I market? And I would say that that was another skill that operators said we need more assistance with learning how to market, how to communicate. What do we do to let people know that these are the services that we have? Understanding their skills and limitations. Some of them said, you know, I'm really good, and I've heard this several times throughout the conference, I'm really good at growing vegetables or growing wheat, but I do not want to talk to the public. So who's going to do that for me? And how can you help me find that person? And then lastly is location with demand. Montana is very rural, as many of the other states know. And so having a location that's maybe somewhat near a big city, and we don't have very many big cities in Montana, we have 5 of them, but being somewhat near a larger city can be helpful. There's been some different trails that have been developed. There's a hamburger trail that has been developed that could kind of follow the cow. So across the state of Montana, have a hamburger along the way. Myself and Susan is over there as well. She's from Montana as well. She works with the Department of Commerce. And we're looking at how to advance some of these different trails and some of these different marketing initiatives. Another piece of the research that we did helped us to create a video, and we will not try to go there, but it was a farm just south of Missoula. It's a 14-acre organic, diversified organic farm that also does all kinds of great agritourism activities on the farm. And so we created a video story and filmed her farm. It was kind of neat. I had a student that has a video production company, and he took his drone. And so you can go and look, that's actually on the bottom of our Montana Agritourism website. And so he filmed a lot of her farm with the drone, and we integrated these themes within that video. So we tried to show examples of here's business diversity, and that's what it looks like. She has peacocks and pigs and goats and all different kinds of things. They do goat yoga. Yes, they do. And so we tried to illustrate all of these themes that her farm had on the farm there. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Another piece of the grant, again, is we created this website. And it is the first attempt at a website. And we also created that logo there, which is amazing for any of you that's done graphic design. It took about a year to create that little logo there with the different colors and how we wanted to look and what we wanted it to represent and what we didn't want it to represent. The first time we had the barn there, it was more like a circular barn that you would see like in Wisconsin. And I said, no, that just doesn't represent Montana. And we didn't have mountains. And anyway, it was a long process, but we finally, I think, got a really nice logo. So that was one of the first things we needed to do. And then we wanted to brand the website as well. So again, just the website, kind of an overview here, is a little bit about the project we had on there, because we really wanted to thank Department of Ag for giving us the funds. We have resources. So we gathered resources that are on the website for getting started, or organizations to contact if you're interested. And then we started an agritourism directory. We kind of have a state outline there with some different agritourism operations that are in existence, and then we have a contact page. On the right side there is podcasts. So what we did from the research that we conducted is we mixed all of the different responses together with the themes. And so we have, if you click on the podcast, we have a couple case studies there that kind of outline homestead organics, and then we have this bike Bitterroot tour, and then we have legal, marketing, getting started, and maintaining your business. And so we mixed all of the different interviews together to kind of put together all of their responses to those particular topics. We can move forward. We also created a Facebook page. So with the Facebook page, we actually implemented a social media campaign. And so over the period of 3 months, we really targeted, we did some target marketing, we paid for ads. We really wanted to get the word out about the website, about Montana agritourism, and we highlighted some of the agritourism operations within the state. And then we did some analysis of, after that 3-month social media campaign, who's looking at the website, how many people saw the website. As you can see, 72% of them were women, and most of them were about middle-aged. I like to say middle-aged because I feel I'm there, 35 to 44 years old, middle-aged, and then 45 to 54 years old. So those were the type of people looking at it and where they were looking and the different people. Okay, we can move forward. Moving forward, so I just got another grant that actually started August 1st. And so it's a Western SARE grant. And the goal of this particular grant is to recruit and establish a leader group to help lead Montana agritourism. Some of the things that we'd like to do is obviously start forming an association. I'm a professor, so this is 10% of my job. So, but I'm very passionate about it. We work with a great group of advisory. Well, I guess we're a steering committee right now. We do have representation from Montana Department of Ag. We have a Department of Commerce. We have Food, Ag, and Development Centers. We have producers and operators. We have people from Chambers of Commerce, Extension, but then again, nobody really wants to take the leadership for the role. So our goal with this program is to try and find some of those people that do want to take the leadership. This is a 2-year program where we're going to help to expose them to different agritourism operations, help them develop some skills. And one of our final goals is, again, initial formation of an association, and they will hold, hopefully, I don't know if it'll be the first agritourism statewide conference, but a statewide agritourism conference, at least in the last 20 years. So, thank you.
So we can open this up to questions, and I will pass this around.
So I have 2 questions, maybe one's a comment. If you all have, what would be very helpful if there was people that were interested in starting their own association would be to share your bylaws with people. So if you have resources like a strategic plan and bylaws that are either on your website or that can be shared from the workshop, that would be extremely helpful.
The state of Colorado, I already downloaded.
Sorry, the strategic plan for the state of Colorado is in the handouts on the Hoover website, so you can
Okay,
download that.
That's great. And then my other, I guess it's not really a question. Well, maybe it is a question. So in terms of funding, has anybody considered business improvement districts? So creating like an agritourism business improvement district, a bid. If your state has enabling legislation for bids, that could be a potential revenue stream where there's an assessment on each of the agritourism businesses. So not a tax, but like a dollar fee that's goes back to your state or your community's tax bureau that comes back to the bid. Just putting that out there. I don't know if anybody has, but that's something to consider.
It's like the lodging tax approach. It's funded through the people that use it, as opposed to the farmers and ranchers don't pay the tax. Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Tara Prayer. I'm the executive director of Vermont Fresh Network. We manage a website called diginvt.com, which is focused on food and farm tourism experiences, authentic experiences. Well, just for others to know, my association works with a group of other producer associations to kind of populate that website. So that's another opportunity for people, that whole idea of collaborating with, like we work with the Vermont Grape and Wine Council, the tree fruit growers, orchard folks, it's apple season. So there's complexity there, of course, but there's opportunity there too. So anyway, long story short, my question, how do you, we're talking about the inside baseball, right? We're talking about the farms and resources and support for farms. What do your associations do? Or how does your state deal with marketing communications for visitors within the travelers within the state who are going to farms, and or also visitors from out of state, like that tourism side of things? Do you leave it to your state tourism department? What do you do collaboratively?
Why don't you guys all go up there?
Yeah, it won't come out.
Tourism is helping to fund the map that we're putting together, so they promote us and anything that we put on. So we have a Facebook page also, and all of those entities, the university and tourism and ag, all share our stuff also. So that helps get the word out quite a bit to other people that would be also interested in participating in agritourism, as well as the tourism website has a specific tag for agritourism. It's not necessarily everybody that's in the, they have to self-apply. So you have people that aren't even within the association that are on there. And there's not really a way that we can do that. We can encourage them though by looking at that. We as an association can look at that, and then we contact them and invite them to the association.
So in North Carolina, we have an app called Visit NC Farms app that Annie Baggett and a group from the Department of Ag developed. And we've had in years past, we've had different marketplaces that the states put together that always they're great for 5 years and then they kind of fall apart. Which I think is just natural. I don't think it's not a judgment. But so we put our energy into getting people on the Visit NC Farms app, because that is out in our state and it brings people from other states. You can download the app, you can set your itinerary for the day, or set I want to go to this strawberry farm to pick strawberries. And when you leave coverage area, it continues to direct you. So it's really well done. And I'll just give you a tip. If you were interested in something like that and your state doesn't have it, I believe the developers of our app are willing to redo it for other states. So if you talk to Amy Baggett, that is a possibility. And I think the thing is that it's different state. I mean, as we're seeing, it's different state to state. It's going to be different country to country. So it really is about looking around and seeing what is available and connecting into that, including what is available in terms of training. Like, I'm not opposed to jumping on the West Virginia website and doing trainings with our association. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So just a reminder that resources are out there. It's just somebody stepping forward and acting, and then people will follow.
So in the state of Colorado, because we were initially spearheaded by the Colorado Tourism Office, you can bet that, yes, we have a lot of agritourism on our state website. They do a lot inside of their official state vacation guide to promote us. Then we have another program called Colorado Proud, which is more about value-added products and whatnot, but they also have a listing for the agritourism attractions and et cetera. Our biggest issue in the state of Colorado is getting people to recognize they're doing agritourism. Bird watching is agritourism, fishing is agritourism, et cetera. Recognizing that they are doing that, and how can they get the word out about that, and what are their resources, and most of them are free. So just getting them to know, and that's part of what our association does through our newsletter. We have 2,000 people on our newsletter, and we make sure that they know where they need to go to get these free listings.
Okay, I'm gonna also ask for questions from people online, and if they can post those, then we'll keep going here. Okay.
Several of you have mentioned that the responses from the ag businesses, the farmers, were to their needs, to that question, was we need help with marketing. So what I'm wondering is, I work for a local vineyard. I manage the tasting room, I help with some of the marketing, a very small team. And it's not like the basics are difficult at this point. You know, we've got a website, we know how to put ads in the local papers, and we have Facebook and we have Instagram. And we have the resources to keep those things going, even though we'd like to do more. But it's the next level of more sophisticated marketing that seems unattainable, that's expensive and complicated. And so I'm talking about customer segmentation, trying to do remarketing to customers who have visited in those more sophisticated ways, not just putting them on your email list. Doing things that are about knowing how much your customers have spent and targeting specific people, as I say, segmenting them and offering them the right offer at the right time to get them to purchase again. Is that something you're anticipating or starting to hear from people, or is it not yet there, do you think?
What we're finding is that your question is so unique to almost every one of the businesses that what they need and what they want, they almost need to hire a consultant or go that route. And I hate to say that because it's not really a very great one shoe fits all feet kind of answer. But one of the things that we have seen that is kind of a next level, but maybe not quite as high as you're referring to is people that work together. So the winery will have a farm to table dinner at the same time that the local arts council is running a concert, and they cross promote each other quite a bit. They use each other's emails. Then there are programs where, you know, every certain night of the week, this winery is going to be open and they're going to have charcuterie and entertainment, etc. Then, you know, one of the next level up that's more affordable that we have found very helpful is to go after media and encourage fam trips. So we get them paid for by the people that are going to benefit. And then this beautiful article comes out in Sunset Magazine and boom, here they come in truckloads.
And that's the Agritourism Association that is initiating.
Okay, we only have 3 minutes left.
Okay.
So can we leave that as the answer and then have a few more questions?
Sure.
I have a very short question for the colleagues from Colorado. How much was the grant that you received from the government?
We received $60,000 a year for 3 years from them.
Hi, I'm Marcus from Belarus and Governmental Association for Agritourism. We started 20 years ago, and now we are thinking about reorganization and changing. So everything you told was very interesting for me. I want to ask a question about financing, funding. As I understood that they have the membership fees. What else, and how are you dealing with the association, grants, whatever, what will be making money with your tours, please?
There you go. I'll go. So North Carolina, we are not funded at all from the state. And so our sources of funding are grants if we write for a grant. We currently are working on have a grant that we have been given to help with promoting the Visit NC Farms app. And so in a way, we have taken the app, sort of like put our arm around it and been the funnel for that grant, which makes it easier for the state to promote the grant, promote the app, which promotes our, right? I mean, it's like however you can do it, it's pretty crazy. And then the other thing is our conference. So when we do our conferences, we've sort of gotten the ball rolling, and we now have sponsors that come, we have vendors that come, and we actually make money on our conference. We also make money on our farm tours. So we went during COVID from doing a bus tour, which was our biggest expense for the farm tour was the bus, to self-guided. So we do it self-guided now, everybody's driving their own cars. We don't have the expense of the bus. All we have is our lunch or our dinner
or whatever else it is like that we're doing. So we're actually making money by doing our farm tours. And the last one we did was in August. We had 75 people. So it ends up being a pretty lucrative thing for our organization. And that's as far as we've tapped it. There's so much more we could do. We've done Zoom sessions that are trainings for the organization and actually gotten sponsors for those. So, you know, the people that, I'm trying to think what the name of the company is. Anyway, it's a company that puts out books that you can sell in agritourism, of Spookly and all those things. They paid and were a sponsor for one of our Zoom calls. And then we did a little promo. They got a chance to do a little promo in the Zoom call. So there's money out there to get, and our membership fees. So we really have 4 ways of, you know, from conferences, farm tours, Zoom calls, membership, and grants, or 5. So we have 5 streams of income.
So I think we're gonna have to end it there, but if anybody has extra questions, I'm sure these guys might hang out around and ask them personally.
Thank you, everybody. Yes, but we have ended the session, but you can continue the conversation on the, what's the name of the website? Yes, and Hoover app, and you can get into there and talk to all these folks and connect with each other. So thank you very much, Scottie, and everybody, all the speakers.